Yes, we are live. Hello. And I have chat on my screen. I think we're good. Let me just... Oh, I'm getting all these notifications on my phone and on my iPad that I'm now live. Now, please let me know if my microphone is too low, if the music's too high. Like, just let me know how things are going because sometimes it's hard to tell. I did a little test before, but you never know. Oh my gosh, there were already people hanging out. We have, hey, Miss Barnabas, hey, Tammy, Simone, Madge, Laura, Dare, Malu, Gina, the other Tara, Kari, Erica, Jan, Simone, Alice, Karen, Wildflower, so many people. Hi, everyone. Debbie. Everyone is from all over the place, too. Germany, US, UK. I love that. Canada, loud and clear. Okay. My microphone is right here. So if you can see my face on the screen, it's just off the camera. Hopefully that means it won't be too loud if I'm like doing stuff on the desk. And yeah. I have a very drippy tree. I felt like, while I was drawing this one, I didn't think anything of it, but as soon as I was done and I looked at it, I was like, it almost looks like that tree is made out of wax and it's just kind of dripping down. And I have another one that's more of a twisted tree and a pen tree, which I was testing out a new pen or a new nib for a pen. And then I'm going to be doing this tree again with pencil. I just started it a little bit last night. I'm going to do it today, and then I also started another one on a different night that I want to focus on some shadow practice. But for now, the tree that's below me on the screen is the tree I'm going to be drawing today. So if you feel like drawing it as well, yes, I know it's a little small on the screen, but just use it as loose inspiration. That's what I'm doing. I'm not trying to copy it perfectly. The whole point of my drawing practice lately is to come up with a not new strategy or new technique for shading, but I'm working on a couple things that are a little bit different for me. I might even like show you a couple examples of my typical sketching style, and then you'll be able to see how that's different from something like this. So gnarly, yeah. Also, we have some tea, which is a little blurry on the camera, which I think it's probably done brewing, so I'm going to take it out. We have some black tea in here, some Assam, some rooibos, let's see, ginger, licorice root, mint, well, peppermint and spearmint, and a kind of a tiny amount of this one mix I have that's called licorice toffee mint, I think. And I'm not exactly sure, but I think it has like some kind of flavoring in it to give it the toffee side of things. Anyway, and also some rose buds, I guess, small rose, and some orange blossom. So it's, let's see, I haven't tasted it yet. It looks very interesting. Ooh, actually, that's really nice. I did a good job. Sometimes I make horrible combinations. I'm still learning. I'm still figuring out what I like. But I definitely needed some tea. Oh, and I added like a tiny hint of ginger or honey because my throat's like a little bit sore. And whenever I'm talking a lot on stream, it gets more sore. He used the word branchology. We go branchology. You should say we go branchology. Branchologing. What are you guys doing today? We're just branchologing. It reminds me of this one moment in, so there's this YouTuber I watch, Iona Yinten. She is amazing. Lives in Sweden, and her and her husband, and they speak English and Swedish. And one time she like walked up to Johan, her husband, and was like, "What you doing?" And he's like, "I'm refsing." And refsa, maybe? I don't know the full word, is raking, like raking leaves. So he was like, "I'm refsing." And I just thought it was so funny for some reason, like combining English with their word. Wow, that was a tangent. So, today is all about trees, at least for me. That's what I'm working on. And I would love to know what everyone else is going to be sketching in chat. If you want to sketch with me, my reference is on the screen. But otherwise, I just figured we would have a couple, like, not necessarily full sprints where we, like, are silent, but I'm going to try to work in, like, 20-minute increments where I'm trying to focus a little bit for 20 minutes. So we all know I get quite distracted with chat. And then maybe either take a little stretch break and then go back to it or start a new drawing. So it's kind of, today is just very casual. I feel like I need to put this out there. I know I haven't been making videos every single week this year. And part of it is just I'm like easing back into a routine after the holiday break. And I've also been, like, I restructured my Patreon at the beginning of the year. I have been doing a ton of work behind the scenes for upcoming workshops. I'm teaching a workshop in France, and then at the end of the year, I'm teaching one in Spain. And I also might be doing one in Spain the following spring. So it's like a lot of behind the scenes stuff that was due right at the beginning of the year. And a lot of things. I'm also working on improving my health in a lot of ways, going for tests for my iron, because I don't know if I think I mentioned in the past I have really low iron, and that really affects my energy. It's getting better though, for sure. And also incorporating like very regular exercise and walking. I'm doing minimum 2 miles a day, trying for 5,000 steps minimum, which doesn't sound like a lot, but if you have a desk job and you work from home, I think other people can relate that it is very easy to push that aside. And I do love going out for walks, but I'll also be wrapped up in a project, and before I know it, it's like 4 p.m. and the sun is setting and it's 2 degrees out, and I'm like, ugh. But we got a walking pad, which is like a smaller version of a treadmill, and it folds up so you can put it out of the way. And that has changed the game for me. So I've been using that a lot. And yeah, I'm already off to a very rambly start. Hey Ma B and Valerie and Galetta and Fascotch, Abraham. Hello everyone. Your long shadows. Danny, it's your first live chat. Oh my gosh. You've binge watched my videos over the last couple of weeks. I figured, since I've been taking a short break from posting constantly, I knew like people could still go back and watch my catalog of videos. I have so many videos, and a lot of them have, like, I put a lot of work into a lot of videos that don't have a lot of views, which is no one's fault. I'm not saying like, oh, that sucks. I'm just saying, like, I think if you miss a video over the year, it's really easy to miss videos, especially when I'm putting stuff out weekly and you're not always on YouTube. So now whenever there's like a lull, I just make myself feel better. I make myself kind of feel better by thinking like, oh, people can just go back and watch the videos they missed or skipped or like just haven't seen, it's not like I'm not lacking content for people to watch. That was a really big mind shift for me though. Like that is a thing I have to actively work on, because I think as a creator, it's really easy to get stuck in this mindset. Like if I don't post constantly, everyone will forget me and everyone will leave me. And then you have this, it's a kind of a version of FOMO. I hope you know what I mean. And if you let that, it will just take over your life and your consciousness. So even when you're trying to take a break, you can't take a break. And so I'm very actively working on that. Like if I'm not online, if I'm taking a little break from filming or editing or whatever it is, it's okay. And there's plenty of stuff for people to watch. So welcome if it's your first time here. I don't do a ton of live streams, but I've been trying. Last winter, I said I would do them a lot, and I only did like a couple. But I meant to do more. And over the summer, I get so busy that I definitely like live streams are very lacking in the warmer months. But in the cooler months, I'm like, oh, I don't, I'm inside more. I should be able to do streams more often. Okay, I nailed this tea. I'm so happy. It's hard to get that perfect balance of kind of earthy with a little bit bitter, with a little bit minty, with a little bit sweet, because I hate really sweet teas. I hate fruity teas. I love strong, malty, bitter teas, but it also needs just like the edge of sweetness. So it's not, well, okay. So let me just scroll and see. Eowyn leaves me in comparative peace. Well, yeah, Storm Eowyn just passed through. It was bad. A lot of places got a lot of damage. We lucked out. We had a lot of things tipped over, like a lot of stuff blown around, but no major damage. Okay, I'm just making sure I didn't miss any major questions. If at any point anybody asks a question, please, and I miss it, please ask again. Maybe tag my name so it highlights it. I'm not purposefully missing anything. I do a lot of times just scan chat and I'll read something, but I won't respond to like every single line. So like I'm also not ignoring you, don't worry. And I know a lot of people also chat with each other in chat, and it's not necessarily like meant for me to respond to. So yeah, I hope you have fun hanging out. We're going to stream for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, so buckle in, get some tea or something that you like to drink. And I thought it would, like I just said, maybe it would be good to start by sharing what my normal sketch style or technique is like, and then that will kind of show you how it's different. Let's see, I have... This is probably the sketchbook with like the most examples. Today I'm using just pencil. I actually have quite a few pencils I'll be playing with. I have my 1.3. I have my 0.9, 0.7, and 0.5. So we have a wide variety of sizes. They're all 2B graphite. Even though this is a blue case, it's not blue pencil. I do use a blue pencil very, very often. In fact, this whole sketchbook is blue pencil, I think. No, there's not. There's some graphite as well. But most of it is blue pencil. So let me show you this. I think I may have shown this in a previous live stream. I have this sketchbook that I started ages ago, and I lose it randomly, like for months at a time, which really annoys me because it should be done by now. It's not even that big, but basically I started on one side with trees, and I called it The Many Ways of Trees and Their Dreams, and most of this is just made up. So this is kind of my usual sketching style, where I have kind of some well-defined areas with thicker lines, but then within that, the shading is very subtle, and it's a lot of just hatching. It's a lot of contour lines and sometimes cross-hatching. And if I want something to be dark, I just do more hatching. But it's very line-focused, I would say. It's not soft shading, like that's close to soft shading, but these are still barely cross soft shading, a little bit there. So I just, I think that came from, I don't know where that came from actually. I just have always done it that way. Even though I know, like I have done soft shading a lot in the past, I just gravitate towards more line heavy sketching style. I just think it's beautiful and it's very, I like almost the design aesthetic of it, illustration aesthetic. So these are, oh, and then the other side of the sketchbook, if you flip it over, it's called The Many Secret Lives of Rocks, and they have their own language. Trees also have their own language. But this is all just rocks. I guess there are a couple trees in there, but even this isn't soft shading. It might look like it from afar, but it's, if you look up close, it's all hatching. So, and with pen, it's very obvious. You can see it's like directional. Not even a lot of cross hatching in this one. Yeah. This was actually when I was testing a watercolor pencil. So that's very soft shading. It's blue graphite. Pentel makes a bunch. Mars Technico, I think, is one of the lines that's a nice one. Pilot might make some. Sorry, no, Stedler. But I think I have Mars Technico Blue is just called blue. And I don't even know if it's HB or H or what. It probably is just HB-ish, but it's a little bit harder. And so today, or what I'm going to be practicing is more soft shading, but I still love my lines. So I've got my lines as well. And I've been using these blending stumps. And I just got this. I'm so excited. I had this one from ages ago. It's a banana that I cut in half because it's just easier to use. And I just got this. It's a cute little set of blending stumps that looks like eggs. It's like a little egg carton. You can get a 12 pack, I think, or yeah, you can get a bigger pack. They might be marketed towards makeup artists. I don't even remember, but they have a couple different shapes. So I think I'm going to go with that one. I like how that feels in my hand, and it's got that flat edge if I want it. We'll start with that. How cute. But basically, so my new strategy is, I mean, I don't even have it figured out yet. What I've been doing is basically laying down some graphite and then I smudge it. And then, I remember how this started though. I think I smudged it by accident with my hand or something. And I was like, oh, this is so annoying. This is why I hate soft shading. And I was getting mad. It's like, there's no point in getting mad. What if I just erase the highlights? And then from there, it blossomed into what it is now. So basically, I use one of my bigger pencils. So I'll just kind of... It doesn't even matter where I do this because most of this gets erased or smudged. Like, I didn't press hard enough, so that's barely staying on the page. The other thing is, once a sponge is dirty, you can use the graphite that's on there still and keep going with that. So this is a new sponge, meaning it's gonna be a while before it's dirty enough to do that. But basically, yeah, I just kind of lay the graphite down, kind of smudge it a little, and then, then I use these mono zero erasers. And anywhere that I want a white highlight or the color of the paper, I will use that to highlight it. Anywhere that I want more darkness, I will either layer more graphite, blend it more, or I will use my standard lines and cross-hatching. So that's what these were. And this, for example, this highlight on this edge is only there because I smudged and then I erased. So it's really, really easy and it's really fast. And part of the reason I'm doing this is to come up with a technique that I really love, that is fun, that is fast, because when I'm traveling, I always fall back on the line thing, and it's actually not that fast to draw millions of little lines to represent my shading. It takes a while, and after hours of doing that, my hand is almost like cramping up. So I guess this is a result of, like, there's a reason I'm doing it. I'm finding the look of it, if it's not done right, it really annoys me. So, I'm not going to get mad or anything on stream about it if I don't do it the way I want to, but I might mention it. Beauty blenders. Yeah, kind of. Hey, Donahue Labs. Hi, brother. It's your first chance catching live. Hello. Welcome. Just as a reminder, if the music is too loud or too quiet, or please, if for some reason a Christmas song plays, please tell me and I will skip it, because I'm just listening to a relaxing genre on Epidemic Sound, which is where I get all my music for my videos from, and like there's no organization to it. It's just relaxing music. So yeah, it could be any genre. And I don't want Christmas music right now. It's not the holidays anymore. Okay. If I get bored with just using graphite, I might switch to a fountain pen. I've been using this one. It's a Pilot something. A Pilot something that will come to me in the middle of another topic. Document? No, it's not a document. Does anyone have this pen? It's a Pilot, and it's one of the cheaper ones. It's like 20 or 30 quid. It's on my supply list if anyone wants to go look at it. Supplies. What is the eraser pen thingy called? You don't even hear any music. Oh, is it that quiet? Allison Bell, hello, first time on live. What was I about to do? Something. Oh, music. What is your advice to get past the fear of starting to paint? Oh my goodness. I think a good question to ask yourself is, why are you doing it? Yes, thank you, Pilot Metro. Of course it's going to come in the middle of another sentence. Yeah, but this is the fine nib. Okay, let's stay on track. If we get into pens, we'll get into pens. Or I could do a different stream about pens. I'm getting lost in my tabs now. I'm looking for Epidemic Sound and to see how loud it is. Okay. If that's too loud or too quiet, let me know. Pilot Metropolitan. Yes, that's the one. Thank you. All the little detectives in chat figuring it out. Yeah, I have the Pilot Parallel pens. I have all the Pilot Parallel pen sizes now as well, and I love them. I did a video about Pilot Parallel pens where I was just like mind blown. And yeah, if you haven't seen those pens before, go check out that video. I show them in action. I will get back to the question about starting to paint. Don't worry, I'm not losing the train of thought yet. And yeah, let's just stay with graphite for a while. I'm trying to stay focused. These are called Mono Zero by Tombow, and there's a flat edge and a round edge. So two very small erasers, which are amazing for little highlights. Oh, someone mentioned they bought my brushes and they're arriving tomorrow. That's amazing. I hope you enjoy. Speaking of brushes, okay, yes, we're taking one more little tangent. These are the prototypes for my new travel brushes. Same company. Then the actual brushes will have letters like telling you what numbers they are and all that. But I've been using them a lot in the studio. Once when I went out, it was really cold. But mostly just here to kind of test them out and really enjoying them. It's kind of difficult to find travel brushes that I like for gouache. So I was like, why not just make them? Here's one of the sizes that I like, the bigger filbert. I'll let you know when the release date is once I know. We're still working on that. And also it's gonna come with a super cute like pouch with my art on it, and it looks amazing. The photos I saw of it look amazing, so I can't wait for that. Okay, we're getting back on track. Your dry gouache palette. Yay! I was tempted to do gouache today, but I am, like I said, I'm kind of in detective mode about finding this kind of drawing style and technique that I really like. Okay, and before I start, just a reminder, yes, they will be fine with watercolor as well. My brushes work for both, and I even have used them with acrylic gouache, although I don't recommend it if you're forgetful, because I sometimes forget to wash my brushes. And if you use acrylic of any kind, they will dry permanently and ruin your brushes. I'm gonna set my timer for like 20 minutes just to kind of keep myself on track. And also it's really important to stretch every once in a while. Otherwise my back is killing me by the end of a sketch session. So timer 20 minutes, and I'll put it up here so that it doesn't scream in my ear. I don't even know what sound it's gonna make. Hello, welcome everybody. If anyone is new here, feel free to say hi in chat and let us know where you're from. I love seeing the huge variety and in locations. And also let me know what you're working on. If you're working on drawing, if you're working on painting. Today is just a very casual sketch session. It's gonna be very chill. We're just chatting. It's not like a tutorial or a serious event of any kind. I'm gonna try to talk while I draw, which is gonna mean I'm probably gonna black out and forget what, like I'm not even gonna realize what I'm doing on this. No, sometimes I do that when I paint and I talk. I'm like, how did I get here? How did these colors happen? Speaking of events though, I am one of the instructors for Acrylic Live this year. Well, it's actually the first year it's happening. I think Watercolor Live just happened, and a couple people in my Discord were talking about that, which I almost signed up for, but I knew I would be too busy. It was Wolfie's birthday weekend this weekend, so happy birthday, Wolfie, again. He is currently downstairs playing a video game I can't remember the name of. But yeah, I'm gonna be instructor at Acrylic Live. I'll be there for the beginner, or the what is it called, Essentials Day, which is the day one, I guess. And my demo is outside, but I'll be there live in chat if anyone wants to hang out. If you want to get a discount on signing up, I'll put the link in chat if I can spell. There's yeah, there it is. Just a little discount if you want. I'm using acrylic gouache in that demo, and I think there's one or two other people that weekend that are using acrylic gouache as well. And I'm going to just randomly mention what I'm doing sometimes and like my thought process, even though, again, it's not a tutorial, but I like to just mention things. A lot of times when I'm this early in the drawing, I could be working on any part of it, but either I'll do one of two things. Either I will fill in the majority of the, like for instance, the bark color, or I'll just get like a base down of like a very soft wash of graphite, or I will start with the darkest area that I see, the one that really attracts my attention. Like for instance, I already did this drawing with pen just for fun, and I started here because I really loved this gnarly knot in the middle of the tree. And then I did this area, which was another dark area, and I kind of just branch out from there. That was a really good pun. I wish I intended it. So I don't know why. I guess I'm just attracted to contrast. So I will usually start with like dark areas. But a lot of times when I'm doing this kind of thing where I'm smudging the graphite around and working soft, it's just easier to get that first wash down. I don't know why I'm calling it a wash. There's no water involved. Hello from Texas. Hello. Is it warm there? Washington State. Oh, I know it's not warm there. Netherlands. London. Wow. I just love the fact that it's so wild to me. I've been streaming for years, since 2015. I used to stream on Twitch. But regardless of where I'm streaming, just the concept that at this moment, there's however many of us sitting in our chairs or wherever in so many different countries and states and all of these different locations, just here because we love art. That is the coolest thing to me. The internet is amazing. I will never get over that. As someone who did not grow up with the internet, that still amazes me. Okay, I kind of grew up with the internet, but I was already a teenager by the time we got it, so didn't feel like I grew up with it. First time as well. Hello. So I think what I'll do this time is just lay in some graphite and smudge it around, because then at least if I'm smudging the graphite with a sponge, with doing it purposefully, I don't get annoyed when I accidentally do it with my hand, because that's just gonna happen. I also want to mention that I did order. I really wanted them to arrive before now, but my Discord chat was talking about, well, we were all talking about graphite, and someone mentioned a 5.6 millimeter clutch pencil, and I was like, what? So I immediately went online and found one, and I found 3B lead or graphite and a clutch pencil. It's on its way. So that's going to be amazing, because it's a huge tip where I can just like lay in a ton of soft graphite, get my smudging in, and then erase and pull and push the values, which that's the whole point to me. This is pretty thick. This is the 1.3, but it's a new graphite, so it's still pretty sharp. As soon as it starts to wear down on one side, it gets a little bit easier to fill in a bigger space. Oh, it's not warm. Okay, then. Well, I also find it's sometimes easy, or a good place to start is to do the outline of the tree first, so you know what you're working with. So right now I have most of the branches figured out. And I do this very loose, I keep my pencil moving. It's just almost one continuous line, very gestural. And this is where I sort of have fun designing the tree, even if, a lot of times the reference is just there to kind of inspire me and guide me, and maybe for very specific things that I need to reference if I'm looking at details. But overall, I just make it what I want it to be. Like the gesture of the tree, the flow of the tree. I make it to please myself as an artist. For this tree already does look good mostly, so I'm kind of sticking to the plan. But yeah, it's meant to be, this part's just meant to be kind of quick and fun, where I can design it, make it look how I want. And then we get more into the kind of tedious detail side, although I don't feel like it's tedious when I'm doing it. There are some times during a drawing where I'm like, oh, this is taking forever. Is this annoying? But those are moments where I realize I just need a break. Koh-i-Noor. Is it? I will let you know when I get it. Or, I'll update my supply list once I kind of find the clutch pencils that I really like. I also have this Staedtler Mars Technico 2mm, but it's got blue in it right now, and I don't want to sketch with blue at the moment. It's also not a very soft blue. It's not a very malleable, like soft blue where I can lay it down and smudge it a lot, so it doesn't quite work for this technique as well. But I do love this pencil. And it is quite wide. Suzanne from Portugal. Oh my gosh. Literally half an hour ago, when I should have been getting ready for stream, I was fantasy browsing hotels in, I think I was looking in Lagos, just down in that southern rocky coastal region. I've never been there, but it is on my list, and it's cold and horrible here, so I was like, I want to go somewhere nice. I'm not doing it, but like I looked at flights and then I looked at hotels, and I was like, oh, just like dreaming, putting myself mentally on that beach, on that coast, painting the beautiful rocks. So I am gonna go there at some point. It's definitely on the list. I actually kind of fantasized about doing a workshop there, like finding a resort that has a big room that we could rent and just as a backup indoor spot, but then mostly just being out sketching on the coast with the beautiful rocks and the beach. And yeah, like that sounds amazing, especially in the winter. I think it would be an awesome destination workshop location. Spain as well. And I obviously know these places aren't ultra tropical in the winter, but they're better than northern Scotland. And probably many places in the northern US. Is that too... I don't want to make it too bright because then the graphite is going to glare. Maybe... Is that okay? I was trying to make it slightly... Actually a little bit darker in here because it was a little bit easier to show. You have a guest house, but you're inland. It's rainy here. Is it the rainy season? Do you have a rainy season? Hey, Caden. You have a Koh-i-Noor 1. Gina, is yours 5.6? Hey, from Holland. Hello. Currently, I am practicing French on my Babbel app, which I downloaded after watching Cecilia from Svalbard. She's a YouTuber, and she's sponsored by them. So I was like, sure, I'll support you since I want to download it anyway. And it's actually so much better than the other one that I was using, which is escaping my mind. It's like, come on, Duolingo. The French on Duolingo is horrible. Like, they have random voices. They change in the middle of, like, you're in the middle of a lesson and it's like, and the audio quality sounds horrible. And oh, the Babbel one is so much better. No, I'm not sponsored. But pretty much anytime I'm going on a trip anywhere, I try to learn a little bit of the language beforehand. It just makes me feel a little more at ease. Not that I am going to be fluent or anything. It's It's just the basics, you know? I just need, like for my France workshop, we have a guide and we have drivers and we have it all figured out. We don't need to speak it, but I think it's nice to at least try a little. And then in October for my Spain workshop, that one I have practiced Spanish a lot with Wolfie in the past, so it's a little bit better for me, but I'm rusty for sure. So I'll need to switch over to that afterwards. I love languages. I just have a terrible memory. And I'm really sad because in college I studied Japanese. I did 3 semesters and then I went to Japan and I lived with a host family and I still barely remember any because I didn't use it for 10 years. No, oh my gosh. Yes, 10 years. I was about to say it's not 20. It can't possibly be 20. And that's the sad part about language. If you aren't like born into multiple languages and you just learn it later in life, if you don't use it, you lose it a lot of times. I remember very few phrases, obviously. It's like not everything is lost, but yeah. It's just one of those things about human brains, I guess. It's the 5.6. You haven't used it for a long while. Well, I'm going to get mine soon and I'll be playing with it. You're working on a horse and stable scene. Ooh, equestrian. Sounds challenging. Hello from the Netherlands. We have a few people from the Netherlands here. And they actually explain concepts. Ooh, that's good to know. I mean, I'm brand new on the Babbel app, so I'm like 3 lessons in, new. And I can feel how much better it is. The most important word in any language is thank you. Yeah. Please, excuse me, thank you, hello, goodbye. The standard, intro level stuff. The hardest thing I find is the accents, really. The the pronunciation. Hey Max, welcome. Well, if you are gonna try Babbel, go check out Cecilia and look through a couple of her videos till you find her affiliate link, because like she is amazing, and just why not support someone? It's easy. It doesn't cost you anything extra. And they get a little boost out of it. So just trust me, she's awesome. Oh, she actually, her parents live in Portugal, so they go there throughout the year sometimes. They go from Svalbard, the northernmost town in the world, to Portugal. To them, that feels ultra tropical in January. Your question got forgot about. Sorry. Oh my gosh. Were you asking me how to start painting? I'm so sorry. Streaming is difficult, okay? There's so much going on. How to get started painting. And please, if you are an artist in chat and you want to offer some advice, throw it in chat, because it's, we all have a different perspective and way of looking at it. And I think hearing from multiple walks of life can really help someone. I think I started by saying it's really good to ask yourself why you're doing it. If you enjoy the act of drawing and painting, it doesn't really matter what anyone says. It doesn't even matter what you're doing, like what the subject is. You'll just do it because you love it. If you want to do it because you want to get good at it and get famous and get admired, that's a whole different story, which maybe that is your path. And if so, then I think you would want to take a little bit more of a structured approach and take some classes, and, get some instruction so you have like a really good foundation, which I actually think is good for everybody because it's more fun to do something that you're a little bit good at, right? It helps. Yeah, and there's so many intro beginner level classes out there. There's even tons of free drawing intro classes on YouTube. I definitely recommend starting with drawing. Drawing is like the ultimate foundation for all type of representational art. With a pencil, you are so free. You have a pencil and a piece of paper. There's no brushes, there's no water to figure out, there's no color to figure out. It is such a direct line for communication for any kind of artist. So I think it's a really great place to start. And also just know that we all started, like literally every single artist started at zero, whether it was when they were 3 years old or 50 years old. Like, it doesn't matter. Everyone started at the same place, and it was only through lots of hours of practice that they got to where they are. I think it's so easy nowadays to look at something online and be like, people make it look really easy. And especially when people are only posting their good stuff, you might not see mistakes. You might not see the many attempts it took them to get to that point. That can be a little discouraging for beginners. So being part of an art community really helps. I have a Discord community where people share sketches, finished art, everything in between. And it's just I'm not the only one either. There's many communities out there, but I'm just mentioning from my perspective, what I love about it is seeing how encouraging everyone is. Like, a brand new beginner artist sharing something, they're a little bit nervous, but then they see like, oh, okay, it's not so scary. Like, everyone is going to start from the same place, and they can get feedback if they want, or like a lot of people will just kind of bounce ideas around in there, or share. Another great reason to join an art community is you share resources for learning. So you can share videos that taught you something, or classes that you took that really helped you. And obviously we all have different styles. Oh my gosh. It's already been 20 minutes. Okay, I don't quite need a stretch break yet. I haven't been hunched over my drawing. Let me finish this thought. We all have different subjects that we love, and different subjects might take different instruction. And then, of course, once you do break into painting, it's going to be the same. Like, you can be an amazing draftsman. You can draw beautiful drawings, and then you start painting and it feels like you're in kindergarten again. Like, it's a different skill set. So just kind of know that it's going to take many different skill sets for painting. Water control with whatever medium you're using is a big one, which you can only get good at by doing it. People can explain it to you till they're blue in the face, and you're not going to quite get it till you're doing it a lot, which is really noticeable with gouache especially, unfortunately. And then there's color mixing, color theory. When I first started, I just didn't care about color theory. I just painted with colors I liked, and I just put colors together that I thought looked cool, and it was wild. And I don't care. Like, it was just great. That was a fun time in my art journey. Now I'm leaning into a bit more realistic, yet I still want to maintain that fantasy feeling, that kind of not quite illustrative quality, but I love painterly and almost abstract brushstrokes, but then maybe the colors are a little bit more realistic, or maybe the colors are abstract-ish, but the line work and brushwork is more realistic. Like, I kind of play with the two, I guess. It's not all over the top saturated colors. Okay, sorry. There's a lot of good advice in chat already. Do not buy colors, even though they are so sexy. Oh man, and you'll get like so much advice about what colors to buy, but it might be from, it's going to come from a very specific mindset. Someone else might be in a different place in their art journey, and they'll tell you what colors to buy. maybe at the beginning you need, like I always say to buy the primary colors plus a couple convenience colors, but like a well traditionally trained artist might say you have to buy these specific 8 colors, otherwise you're not an artist. You know, they have very strict, rigid thoughts. And you have to kind of take it with a grain of salt when you're getting advice online. Or some people might recommend totally other wild colors because they're much more of like a fantasy artist. And there's a lot of art sets out there with like 30 colors in them. And that's a bit, I think that's overkill. That's, if anything, that might confuse you if you're first starting because there's just so much and the colors aren't really harmonious or can feel a little bit like there's a little bit of discord there. I guess it depends what you're painting, but yeah. I feel like I could go on and on and on about this. I hope any of this is helpful. Okay, we're gonna get some shading. I think I'm being a little too conservative with my shading because I'm talking. But I'm gonna start laying in some washes, some graphite, and then kind of pushing in. I'm barely pressing down when I do this. I'm really just trying to coat the surface of the paper very lightly with graphite so that there's not a lot of lines showing. If I want lines to show, I'm gonna make them show. Like, it'll be purposeful. So this early stage is not, it's actually kind of easy to do when I'm talking because I don't have to think too much about it. Actually, I can go over the background. I want the background to have a bit of graphite in it, so I can go over the lines. There's good sets of 8 to 12 basic colors. That is a good place to start, yeah, because they're usually the primaries or maybe 2 sets of primaries in there. Join an urban sketching group. They're so supportive and non-judgmental. Yes, I completely agree. Today on my blog, I literally just posted a 2-year anniversary post about my plein air group. So on my sarahburns.com or sarahburnsstudio.com website, I have a blog. I technically have 2 blogs, but this is like my personal one. So that one, here, I'll put the website. If you want to go see, because I also asked some of my group members to share some advice or thoughts about joining a plein air group. If you're new to it, if you're nervous maybe to join a local group, like share some words of wisdom. And I got a lot of good input. So I included that plus some photos. And I think that urban sketching especially is even, I think that's even better because like you tend to be like in a more crowded area. You're moving maybe a little bit more. You're not sitting in one space for like the whole day. Maybe you do, just depends, I guess. But I don't know, it gets you kind of used to that feeling of like you're just out there to do some color notes or kind of a fact-finding mission. You're just getting a little bit of practice in. You're not committed to making a masterpiece, and that is a really great place to start with, mentally to start with. Instead of thinking every single piece has to be amazing. that can be a prison in a way. You did it wrong when you started. You bought the big studio palette hat. Yeah, I think it can be fun and helpful to experiment with a lot of different colors, but it can be confusing as well if you're not sure what to use in a specific painting. But you know, with those big sets, you can buy them to save money and they just set a few of the colors aside that maybe are a bit too wild or a bit confusing and stick with the primaries and a couple convenience colors. You know, if you bought it because it's a good deal, it's still okay. Yeah, if you're in a rural area, it can be tricky to find a group. I definitely know that there's like multiple in and around Seattle. I did a little meetup in Seattle when I was passing through last time, and it was amazing how many people came by. Ooh, I'm going to get this area, like, I think I'm going to try to highlight the left side of the tree. So I'm going to add some nice shading back here. I like the idea of having some of the edges be lost into the background. So nothing is like the whole edge of the tree doesn't have to be perfectly crisp. Because when you're looking at something in nature, your eyes are focused on a thing. You can't see everything in full focus. So why would you think a drawing or a painting has to be that way? A lot of times it's really helpful to have lost edges because it feels a little bit more realistic, even if the painting is very painterly. It just gives that sense of really being there. So trying to remember that in my drawing because I do tend to make every edge like really nice and crisp. Would you suggest switching from perfect finish to experimentation approach when you are out there and people tend to watch and judge? It gets wild out there sometimes. Oh, well, the thing is, like, people are so curious. I've only ever once had someone be even slightly rude. But like everyone I meet is just amazed that they're seeing an artist in the real world. And they're also usually, if it's a local, they're like, oh my God, you're painting my favorite view. And they get all excited about it. Like no one is out walking their dog ready to judge artists. Like that's not the mindset. It's more, I think, fascination. And then you can just have a good chat. And a lot of times locals will tell you about cool behind the scenes facts about wherever you are. And I get a lot out of that. Worst case, just put some headphones on, especially if you can see them like over your ears almost. If you have the big headphones, that's like a signal to people to leave me alone. I'm out there to do my thing. It's your choice whether you interact with people, obviously. But every plein air group I've been in or urban sketcher group I've met up with has been extremely nice. No one has been rude, mean, judgmental. Like, no one, I think it's just one of the most encouraging types of meetups. And also, I think it's because people are just happy. They're doing art and they're outside. How could it get any better than that? Urban Sketchers in Portland, yeah. There's probably groups that schedule meetups on Facebook and or LinkedIn. Is that a thing anymore? I don't know. Like, where else could you find meetups online? Or if you search like Portland Urban Sketcher on like a hashtag, Portland Urban Sketcher, maybe that'll pop up on some post somewhere. Okay. I think so that's getting a nice coating on it. Now, with all this extra graphite on the sponge, I can start to play with it even if I'm not drawing underneath it. It definitely helps to have this 2B lead. I was using HB before and it was much harder to get like a lot of smudging. Okay, so I'm almost done with the first wash, and then I may go a little bit darker in some spots, but then I'll do maybe some line work. And I may switch to my smaller pencils for the line work. We'll see. I really love, we were talking about this in my Discord, graph gear. I got this originally for drafting in interior design school, and we had to like draft our plans, construction plans, and so I always associated this pencil with being very rigid, and I never thought of it as a sketching pencil. But now that I've been using it more for sketching, drawing, I am loving it. The weight, it's so heavy. Like, I don't know exactly how heavy it is, but compared to all my other pencils, it's the heaviest. And it is a really good grip here. But I find that the weight actually helps me, or it feels like I'm a little bit more accurate, I guess. I don't know what it is. There's probably some science to it. Someone in Discord was mentioning that if you're doing like bigger swoops with a heavier pencil, it's easier. It kind of just, the feel of the pencil in your hand, you don't really lose that sensitivity on the paper when you press down on the paper. So it actually helps, which I like, kind of cool. This pencil weighs practically nothing. It feels like a piece of paper in my hand. So I don't know. It's harder to see with this one. It's so heavy that I could just set it down and all I need to do is move. I'm like literally not holding it right now and it's drawing a line. Whereas with this one, it's a really light line. It does work a little bit, but it's not the same. So with this one, it's so much easier to control the sensitivity. If I want it to be like my base sensitivity, I'll just let it, I'll like barely hold it in my hand and let it just do its thing. If I want to get any darker, all I need to do is press like ever so slightly. Whereas with this one, I don't know, I just need more effort in a way. So let's erase the random lines I just did. This is the kind of thing I meant with the eraser though, using these. Now I can start thinking about like, where do I want bark texture to be highlighted anywhere? Do I want little details highlighted? It's kind of a back and forth. Like I don't usually do the highlights until the very end, but sometimes it's helpful to get a few in when it's early so I know if I'm kind of leaning in the right direction. The song seems really loud. Maybe not to you. I'm just going to turn it down slightly. Yeah, it's like, okay. I'm trying to get a feel for this pencil. It's new, so I'm just giving it a chance. I do like the fact that it's really light because when I'm out hiking and biking and just bring a little kit, I want it to be as light as possible. I don't want a set of like 6 graph gears in my pocket. That would be a little bit heavy. I am using 2B lead and I have 4 pencils, but I'm not using all of them. I just showed them as examples. The sizes are 1.3, 0.9, 0.7, and 0.5. So typically I just use my 0.9 and maybe my 0.5 for like tiny, tiny, tiny lines. But for these, this was purely just this one. It kind of depends. This a pen. So yeah, I guess it just depends. Like I love the idea of just having one pencil that does everything, but it's also sometimes convenient to have a couple sizes. Hey, Kataria. Thank you. Graphite is amazing, isn't it? Graphite is so versatile. Oh, yeah, I really like this. The weight of this pencil. The other cool thing is because it's heavy like that, I can hold it way back here. If I'm holding it here, I feel so stiff and it's actually, I tend to press harder. Whereas if I'm holding it here, I can just kind of let it glide across the paper. I'm not pressing, I'm just letting it move and deposit the graphite very lightly. And that is no effort. Like my hand is not using any muscle, no effort. My arm is kind of pushing it a little, but yeah, it just works so well for this. Yeah, I can already feel like I'm filling in this area much easier. Okay, I don't want to get too dark up this area. Did I mention these? I think I did at the beginning. The little set of blending sponges. I think there's no name on it. And yeah, they might be makeup blending sponges. I don't even know. I just saw them when I was, what was I looking? I was looking for erasers, and then these started popping up, and I like the rabbit hole led me to this set. So I was like, okay. I don't care what they're made for. They work for me. You see a lot of artists using this. I have this is even making it even heavier and more back heavy. So it's just a Faber-Castell eraser that I pop on. Yeah, this is one of those pencils where you can just retract it and the tip goes back in. So it protects it. But it does have an eraser under there. Yeah, it's too small. And it's really annoying to take this off constantly to do it. Oh, oh my God, I'm sorry. I hope your ears aren't bleeding. And I broke my tip. This thing could be a weapon. It doubles as a weapon if you're outside on your own. So tip for anybody if you're nervous about anyone finding you. Okay, 30 seconds until our break. Mostly I just need to like stretch. So everybody, if you've been sitting in a chair, take a second to like relax your muscles. Once we hit the hour mark, I'm probably going to stand up and stretch, but you know, just even doing that feels amazing. Water-soluble graphite. Yes, I have. And I think I even did it on stream one time. Okay, we're going to try to get some defined edges so I can, because I need to make sure I don't lose what I'm working on. There is moss on this tree, so that's one thing I'm working on, is figuring out a nice like way to represent bark versus moss in a quick way. So what I'm mostly doing is edge work with that, like using scratchy edges for the moss that's lying on top of the tree. And then straight, more rigid lines for the bark and anything else. We'll see. Kind of fluffy, hairy lines. How else will I describe it? Fluffy, hairy lines for the moss. And then sometimes I even smudge. The moss edges can definitely be smudged because they're soft. It's a soft material compared to a rough bark texture. Typically when I'm doing this fast, like when I'm really in the zone, it's like a double-handed thing where I am laying in the graphite, smudging, laying in the graphite, smudging, and then it just constantly back and forth. Oh, and I also figured out, or this might be obvious to people, but the erasing side of it only really works if you have a paper that, first of all, if you're not pressing and indenting your paper, if you do that, it's hard to erase a line. Kind of becomes permanent. But your paper can't be too thin, or it has to be the right kind of paper because some papers will degrade really fast with an eraser, and you get like pilling almost, or like the fibers of the paper are actually coming apart. And some papers are, I find one of my favorites is the, what is this? Stillman and Burn Beta. This is my bigger one. This one is awesome for this technique because, can you see that? I was doing this technique outside a little bit, but I often fall back on my hatching thing, so I need to practice a bit more. But this paper like is so smooth. I don't know if it's the finish on it that allows you to erase even really dark shadowy bits. Oh, here's a good example. Like that, I shaded really, really dark and barely any effort. I was able to lift with one of these. So I think this paper is going to be one of my favorites. This is, I pretty much only use this outside though, so I'm not going to use it today, but this is pretty good too. It's I got this from Jackson's. This name doesn't match what it says on their website. It's just under their paper sketchbooks, and you can probably find it. Just look for one of the gray covers, soft cover paper sketchbooks. I have a few versions of their paper sketchbooks, and they all work really well for this. The eraser just glides over really smoothly. This paper is not bright white. It's slightly tinted, which I really love because it almost gives it that old world feeling, kind of antique feeling. It's not dark or anything, but yeah, their paper sketchbooks are really fun for this strategy, this technique. Definitely recommend. Is the music too loud? Let me know. K&P means Kunst and Papier. Is that what it said? Yeah, that's what it says. Kunst and Papier. Germany. So they probably just outsource or get it. I thought they were selling this as Jackson's brand, but so maybe it's made in that factory, but Jackson just puts their name on it or something. I don't know. Yeah, I have a couple more somewhere, but I love this big square size. It's the 21 by 20 centimeter size. It's great for when you want to do a nice detailed drawing, but not a massive drawing, which could take many, many hours. This one, like these are all done just in one sitting, just kind of playing with ideas. Let's see, let's kind of work on some of the darker areas. I find like at this point in the drawing, it's really nice to get some contrast, make things kind of pop. And it's your first live. Hello. Yeah, collaboration probably. The dark interior of, I guess I'll just stick with this one. So that's as dark as I can get with my 2B, which is pretty dark. And I love, if I start smoothing down one of the edges, I can get a really solid fill pretty easily. And then I can swoop out from there and then darken it again, swoop out, and I can keep getting that. I can build up that beautiful, soft quality, and then it's really easy to erase the highlighted edge if I need it. That's probably not where I want my highlight though. So I can just go back over it. But yeah, this paper withstands quite a lot of abuse with the eraser. And the blending sponges are very soft. You don't really have to worry about ruining your paper with that. So I'm definitely not as patient when I'm streaming as I am when I'm just on my own listening to music. Uh, Lately, my favorite thing is to put a podcast on or something and just zone out. And it's so relaxing to work on these studies. Someone was like, you should listen to audiobooks, but I don't pay attention enough if I'm doing something else. I find it really hard to listen to audiobooks. I don't know if it's just me. I think the only way I can pay attention to an audiobook is if I'm driving, because I mean, I still zone out and yeah, but even if I'm doing the dishes or I'm doing any kind of activity with my hands, I just can't listen to an audiobook. I have to like constantly rewind and re-listen to sections because I'm like, wait, what happened? Is this Christmas music? Oh, this is the problem with playing a random playlist. It's not too loud on your phone. Okay. I just want a very subtle background. Just chill. Oh, one of the most fun parts about the trees are the roots. I always start getting in the habit of using my finger to kind of smudge it a little. I'm like, no, don't do that. That's the purpose of this. I mean, I can, but yeah, it just gets real messy real quick. I don't know if I don't want to darken this section too much yet. I want to kind of work my way down from here, I think. The knobby, gnarly tree roots. Yeah, you can give a tree a lot of personality with the roots. I mean, you can do it with the branches and all that as well, but I just feel like the roots really define how fantastical it looks because, yes, some trees have crazy roots, but I like to emphasize that and I often make them kind of go up a little bit and back down, and then sometimes I even curl the ends of the roots back up out of the ground and almost make them feel like they're about to like get up out of the ground and walk away. That's why I wrote my original children's book, Tree Girl, because I was just walking through the woods all the time seeing these creature-like trees. I'm like, oh man, trees are people. This is a real creature. Did I ever tell you guys I started Tree Girl 2 and Tree Girl 3 and never did anything with it? Tree Girl 2 was like almost even, it was like 90% illustrated. Oh, I have too many projects. I always think, oh, when I retire, I'll be able to work on that. But let's be real, I'm never going to retire. There's always going to be something else I want to do, something else I'm going to work on. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I self-published a children's book a few years ago. It's on my website with my other books. I have 3 books. And it's about being a tree and discovering who you are. All right, Alice, have a wonderful day, wonderful night. What time is it? It's almost 7. Okay. So at, oh my gosh, it's almost 7? Oh no, I started at 5:30. Okay. So yeah, at 7, let's take a little actual stretch break. I'm quite excited for dinner tonight because it is leftovers. So, I mean, I don't have to cook or clean. But for Wolfie's birthday yesterday, we got, it was like an Indian Bengali fusion place. We ordered so many amazing dishes. And as his gift, I went into town and brought it home. That's what we do on our birthdays. Although this year, I think we're going somewhere for my birthday. Anyway, this food is out of this world. So good. My mouth is watering just thinking about it. I can't believe I thought that I would get through 2 drawings during this stream. When have I ever done that on stream? Like, achieved the goal? Probably once out of many years. I like to lean back and look at it from afar slightly sometimes. I think that helps. Oh, I was like, why isn't this making any marks? It wasn't out enough. So if anyone has any questions, let me know. It could be about drawing, it could be about painting, it could be about art in general, business, life, whatever. Originally, this was going to be like a Q&A / sketch video, but at the last second, I kind of realized that might be too much. To have like a full list of questions that I collected and then try to also draw. But answering questions live on the spot is a little bit like that. I can manage that, I think. I don't know if I like all these little like holes, and I'll just make it softer maybe. I definitely want to make sure the edge of this tree is like anything but smooth. Vermont is the US state most like Scotland. Really? Because I always hear that about the Pacific Northwest. But that, I could see that because that's like on a similar level. Like, it's way up there and coastal, right? So at some point we might have been connected. What are your suggestions for selling original art? Suggestions as in like how to prepare art to be sold, or advertising? Hey Stacy. Oh yeah, just a quick message to let you all know that the reason I'm doing trees today is because on my Patreon, January is tree month. We are doing monthly themes, and I already shared a super detailed long post about how to draw trees from like a very beginner's perspective, like starting with base structure, working your way up to detail. And then we did a live paint along where I did gouache trees, and the results of which are somewhere in here. Where are we? What day is it? No, I lied. It's in my other sketchbook. I, yeah, here they are. So we did this live on stream. I talked a little bit about drawing them, but then mostly we just worked on the gouache. Advertising. So for advertising the originals, obviously it's going to help if you already have a following somewhere. So before you even thinking about selling them, maybe start growing a following either on, well, whatever your social media platform, your favorite social media platform is. I don't think you should be on all of them because that's going to be really hard to maintain well. So maybe pick one or two that you love and start kind of sharing art, growing a following, be involved in other people's communities as well. Like, it should be natural. It shouldn't be forced. And people will, like, if you're painting something that people like, they'll find you if you're out there. But that's the first thing, is be out there. Intermediate level gouache subscription tutorial box thing now that the first year has ended. I probably won't do another subscription box type thing, but I have thought about doing a set of maybe, like, I don't know what I would call it, but yeah, a set of intermediate / advanced gouache level courses or classes, whatever. I thought about doing live, like, sign up X amount of money. There's 4 dates. Maybe it's over the course of a month or 2 months, and we sign on live, and I do the demo and answer questions, but it's like more advanced and, leaning more advanced, because I like the live aspect of it, because I think people come up with really, really good questions on the spot during the demo. This happens all the time in my Patreon. Like, people just come up with good questions during the moment, like, or ask, oh, can you show, like, how you're dipping your brush in the water? That's a good one. And I sometimes forget. So if it's live, I can get that instant feedback. So I don't know. I think that might be good. The chat commands. Oh, so here's one, for instance. If you would like to support me or get tutorials, I have a Patreon. And the chat commands, there's more chat commands than what I have on the screen, but those are like the big ones right now. The acrylic command is to let you know about the acrylic live event in March this year, which I'm part of. So I'm really excited about that. And you can get a little discount with that one. Just catching up on chat. Oh, so yeah, with the advanced tutorial idea, I don't think I would want to have it on my Patreon. I think I would like it as a standalone thing, because my Patreon is like a good base place to get consistent content all month. But then most of my patrons, I think, are beginners, maybe slightly more middle level. But then, like, if it's an advanced tutorial, intermediate / advanced, if it's more of a standalone thing, I think that's a nice offering to, like, the wider public. Because I think people, like, maybe won't join the Patreon if they're a beginner. They're like, oh, I mean, I'm past that point, so they might join, like, a standalone live demo kind of thing. Does that make sense? That's my thought anyway. The chat commands. The pink tree girl. Oh, okay. Yeah, so the chat commands, I don't know, it's just a feature that you can use on live streams. They only work on live streams. You can't use them in the comments after the live stream. Just FYI. Now, if anybody is familiar with Twitch, you know how much better and advanced that streaming platform is. But since I stopped streaming on Twitch and I've grown my community on YouTube, I just stick with it. It's just easier than trying to be everywhere all the time. Let's get a highlighted edge on this guy. This is going to be one of those streams where I end the stream and I'm like, what did I do? I have accomplished nothing. Like, I genuinely thought I'd get 2 drawings done today. It's okay. I said it was going to be a chatty, casual stream, so. I'm constantly battling my inner, I don't know what I would call it. Not illustrator, but something. Maybe illustrator, where I really want to stylize things. I'm trying to do a study, not match it perfectly, but like, you know, get the feeling of this tree. Without going over the top fantasy. Because when I see this tree, I just see a creature and I want to make it look like it's coming to life. But I'm like, okay, don't quite go that far. Hold back. Try to actually study it for what it is. I have times where I do just sit down and draw straight out of my mind, and it's really fantastical and wild, and I love those sessions as well. I want to make this one look like it's twisting, I think. One thing I like to do with these is like really focus the detail here, and then as I get farther away, I let it be really sketchy. I kind of like, I think I did it in these ones. Kind of here, where you can see, oop. This one I finished a little bit more here, but then this really just kind of falls away and it's just lines. It's kind of sketched. I don't know, is that glaring? It's hard to show. I just realized I could probably, no. Oh, I can't change the focus method, unfortunately. Can I zoom in? Oh my god, I'm sorry, I should have done that way before. Note to self. Maybe that's too bright. And maybe there. When do you choose between acrylic and traditional gouache? Acrylic gouache versus traditional gouache. I have to, if I'm gonna sit down, do a sketch, clean up quick and go, I can't use acrylic gouache because I have to clean up after with acrylic gouache. If I'm sitting down for a much longer session, like a couple hours, I like acrylic gouache because I can get my first layer down, walk away, let it dry. It's permanent, which is great. It's just a different approach, I guess, different strategy. And I can stretch, have lunch, come back, do it again. Like, I'll just keep my gouache in a stay wet palette during that time and it's fine. And then I have more time to clean up after, so it's like less stressful. But yeah, if I'm outside, I mostly use a traditional gouache because I'm oftentimes like sitting down sketching, moving, sitting down sketching, moving, blah, 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 fast. But there are times when I'm outside where I'm going to sit in one spot for 3 hours, 4 hours maybe, have my packed lunch next to me. And then I really like doing acrylic gouache. But I do need a bigger palette with acrylic gouache. So I won't do that if I'm like hiking really far. I'll just, if I'm like parking and walking a little ways, then I can bring my bigger palette and my tripod. So yeah, there's different times for each, I think. I do love the fact that acrylic gouache dries permanently. So if like maybe I want to sell a piece, if I want to paint something and sell it as its own thing, knowing that the acrylic gouache is permanent is just a peace of mind thing. I really, really like that. So yeah, I think I'm not super familiar with acrylic gouache as much as traditional gouache, but I've been using it quite a lot this past year, and it's kind of growing on me. And I also bought one of those golden crash kits, I think it's called, where it's like a whole filtration system for cleaning up. So yeah, you can Google it if you're interested, rather than just like pouring your water down the drain. And yeah, that has kind of helped my process a little bit. But if I want an absolutely stress-free situation, I'll just use traditional gouache because it cleans up with water. I can let my brushes sit there. I don't have to worry about it. My palette won't get ruined. Yeah. No, I've never tried casein. Also, hey, Corey. So I'm always just back and forth between playing with either one. I will say that I did it. Oh, I should mention this. I updated my gouache database. I finished the last 3 Lightfast tests that I was waiting for, and I did the last gouache review that I was waiting for, the Liquitex acrylic gouache. So my Fearless Brush page, fearlessbrush.com, that is updated. The gouache database there has all the new info, and the reviews are all done, I think. I hope I linked to them properly. It's a labor of love. I don't have a command for that one. I just realized you'll have to just search for Fearless Brush, Sarah Burns or something, and it should come up. I have a lot of SEO, I guess, by now that makes it come up in results. Okay. One thing I'm thinking about as I'm doing this is, like I said earlier, bridging that idea between soft shading and stylized line work, because I love both. And I'm using these smaller studies to practice the order in which I lay things on the paper and work through the process in my brain, because eventually I want to do bigger drawings, like 2 feet by 3 feet trees. And I definitely don't want to tackle one of those without a plan, basically. But I love the idea of drawing that big because you can get so detailed and have so much fun with bigger tools, like getting big graphite sticks and just sweeping it on, and huge. You could even use like a giant sponge from a hardware store and just like smudge it across. That appeals to me. But then you can, once you get the kind of abstract fun stuff, then you can just dive into all those little details. And then when you back up, it looks insanely detailed. When you work bigger, it is so fun when you start backing up and seeing it come to life like that, painting or drawing. If you're interested in drawing realistically, there's quite a few drawing YouTubers out there. I think the one I've watched the most over the years is Jono, Jono. Is that how you spell it? Dry? I'm sure you guys know who I'm talking about. Proco, obviously. Huge resource. Very inspiring. But I really like Jono's use of materials I mean, he actually has done tutorials where he shows like exactly how he gets his huge, almost black fills. He has these huge areas in his drawings because he works on massive paper. Huge areas of just solid black, which is really, really hard to do with graphite. So, yeah, if you're interested in that kind of thing, definitely go check that out. Or feel free to share in chat your favorite YouTuber who does drawing stuff. Share those resources. Because I actually don't know a lot that only do drawing. Like realistic, maybe, especially if you have any that do a lot of landscape stuff. I don't know if that exists on YouTube. I actually don't watch a lot of art YouTube. 99% of my watch feed is ultra marathoners and Arctic camping and renovation videos. It used to be a lot of van lifer stuff, but I kind of got over that phase. I don't know. I just love watching people outside. Trail runners. Okay, let's see. This area is all lumpy, which I love. So kind of making this edge a little bit lumpier than the reference, just for fun. Sometimes I like to embed rocks within the roots, like the rocks are hanging on, like wrapping around big boulders at their base. Just making sure I don't miss anything. Casein's easier for cleanup. Oh, okay. I know James Gurney uses casein for mostly for the base layer, I think. Sketching Scotland was so great. Oh, thank you. That's amazing. I'm, excuse me, working on Sketching Scotland 2. I'm about, I would say, 30% done. No, that doesn't sound very promising. At one point, I was 50% done. So, yeah, don't ask me how that happened. I'm so picky. Oh man, but I am really, now I'm at a fun phase in the project where I'm kind of really diving into choosing images, but I have thousands of images to go through, so it gets very tedious. But it's fun because I'm basically, Sketching Scotland 2 is going to cover everything since 2021. And I feel like 2021 until now, I have had some amazing plein air adventures. And I'm like, okay, how the heck do I share all of this? This is a bit overwhelming. Maybe I keep thinking maybe I should make Sketching Scotland 2 just like 2 years and then do another one after that. But no, I want to do everything up until now. Because the last one was everything before 2021. That was a lot. But if I'm only going to be able to release these every few years, like I feel like I want to cover that time between. I got to back up and see. There's definitely a little hole there. Something lives in there. Have you guys ever been inside a tree, like a big hollow tree? Okay, I just realized I haven't actually caught up with chat. Coffee filter. Andrew Borrowman art. Okay, I'll check that out. You should use graphite powder. Yeah, I've been looking at it, but I probably won't get into that till I working much bigger. Steven Zapata. Oh, actually, I have seen their videos. Your secret. Your secret pleasure is watching an Aussie plumber clear block drains. Now that is sad. Oh man, I once spent like 3 hours watching someone clear a garden that was completely overgrown. Like it was a silent video. It was all just sped up footage, but they basically just like went in, chopped things down, cleared things out, and it was so satisfying. And they did it for free for this old woman who couldn't do it herself. And then at the end they're like, "Okay, we're done." And she's like, "Oh my gosh, thank you." Like she even had vines growing into her house through the windows. She couldn't close her windows. So, yeah, I get it. You're headed to Scotland in June? Ooh, June is amazing. I'm going to be gone for most of June. Or actually, I think I'm gone for like through 2 weeks, but then my dad is coming and we're going to go to Ireland and then I'm taking him around Scotland. So, oh my gosh, June is going to be so busy. There's a couple who did the PCT trails. Oh, there are a lot of PCT videos out there. Some of them are pretty good too. Husband is a marathoner and trail runner, traveling the world, 63. That's amazing. That is goals. Wow. What's the difference between acrylic and acrylic gouache? I think it's mainly the binder and pigment load. That's my guess. The binder of acrylic gouache it's not as plasticky feeling, I would say, and it dries matte. And I feel like it has a higher pigment load. It behaves quite similarly to gouache, and it looks exactly the same as gouache when it's dry, for sure. You were inside a giant redwood. Oh my god, that's amazing. I put this out into the universe. No, Sketching Scotland is not available on Amazon or any stores like that. I sell them on my own website because I did self-publishing before I even knew what self-publishing was. I just did a Kickstarter and printed all the books and sell them out of my own house. So yeah, unfortunately, it's not quite as easy to distribute them, but I don't know. I've been thinking about somehow getting it onto a site somewhere like that, but then I would have to completely reformat it, and that scares me. Yeah. I was putting this out into the universe that what year did I say? 2026. In probably June, if I'm being honest. I want to go to the Sequoia National Forest and meet up with some artists, rent some cabins, and spend a whole week painting the giant trees. And I put that out on my Instagram, like, "Hey guys, this is my dream. Who wants to do it with me?" And I got so many responses. Bit overwhelming, actually. So, I don't know. When the time comes and the planning starts happening, I'll share more. But if you want to be like the first to hear about it, just sign up for my newsletter, because that's where I always share news like that. And if you're not on my newsletter, you might miss workshop announcements. That's like the one place I will guaranteed post workshop announcements. So my newsletter is on my website if you want to check that out. Yeah, like going to the Sequoia National Forest, I don't know how we would do it. We would just have to like have a big group chat somewhere online and like say, "Okay, I'm renting a cabin in this area. There's 5 spaces, and I don't know how we would do it. But then multiple people would have to rent cabins near each other for it to work, I guess. And then we could like carpool and stuff. Yeah. I wouldn't want to do it as a workshop. I would just want to do it as a meetup thing. Just go and experience the amazing trees. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be speechless. I don't know. I've seen some amazing huge trees in Scotland and I was speechless. So imagine seeing the redwood in person. Well, actually, there are redwoods here, but not as big. Mindful Narrow Boat on YouTube. Narrow boating. Wow, that's something new to me. Is that like the boat version of van lifing? Living on a boat and like traveling around full time? Narrow boating. Like canals? That might be a little too bright. I don't know. The edge of my graphite is very angled now, so I'm able to get like big lines, big fills. Rent out a state park. Yeah, we might have to. Yeah, the sequoia, pretty much any big. I know there's a redwood forest as well. Redwood National Forest, is it called that? So there's options, I guess. But I just want to see it before it's too late. If anyone watching is affected by the LA fires, I am so sorry. I was just crying when I was watching that footage. And it instantly made me think, like, you literally never know. I've been saying, I'm going to go to the Sequoia National Forest for years, maybe over a decade. And I keep thinking, oh, I'll do it like in a year or two. I'll do it like maybe when I retire, which I don't know why I always say that because I seriously doubt I'm going to retire. But I keep putting it off and I'm like, that just shocked me to the point where I was like, I have to make it happen. Yeah. Just, you never know. I have a bucket list, like most people. Some things are more realistic than others. I feel like maybe if I start on my US based bucket list items, it might be easier since I have family in the US. And like once you're there, once I get over to the US, traveling within is a little bit easier. It's kind of like once you're over here, you can jump between European countries much easier. So if you're going, like if I'm going to the US, maybe I could check off multiple things on my list in one trip. But I would have to be there for a while, like a few weeks at least. And it would be a whirlwind. I haven't even done any of the small branches yet on this. There's just some small branches kind of twisting and winding around up here. Oh, on the English canals. Okay. State parks, they often have meeting halls. Ooh. So instead of renting it, I was thinking you were saying rent out the national park. I'm like, how is that even possible? But okay, you mean like facilities within the national park. Yeah, maybe. But I wouldn't, I mean, as a backup, maybe, but like the goal would be to go to a new trail every day and hike a new trail. Yeah, that does sound like a dream. An absolute dream come true. I think it's kind of like maybe if I do highlights on the moss, the edges of the moss, kind of make them stand out a bit, and then do the textured lines on the bark. Oh gosh, okay, that's messing with my eyes. Like staring at my paper, it's really bright white in person compared to looking at my screen, which is black. Ugh, my eyes are like, what? Artist in residence. Ooh. The one thing I will say about drawing, as much as I love it, it is overall slower to get like the full spectrum of values and textures and all of the things I want. Like if it's just line work, it's faster for sure. But in the case of like these trees, trying to get something recognizable with values, with highlights and shadows and different textures for different things, painting is so much easier or faster, I guess, because it's like one brushstroke will fill in this whole tree trunk, and then you get another one for the bark and another one for like the final details. Done. So it's teaching me patience. Drawing in this way for sure is teaching me patience. And I keep thinking, okay, I'm trying to figure out how can I make this faster? How can I be more efficient at it? Because when I'm traveling to the Sequoia National Forest, for instance, and I'm drawing this beautiful tree, I'm going to want to draw another beautiful tree in another 10 minutes. Like, I'm going to want to move around a lot. So I probably need to manage my expectations about how much I'll get done. But still, like, just having a good feel for my process way beforehand. But this is also going to help with architecture. It helps with drawing any subject, not just trees. By the way, next month on Patreon, if you want to be surprised, if you're one of my patrons and you want to be surprised, close your ears right now. 3, 2, 1. The theme for next month's Patreon is snowy rocky outcrops. Why is that so hard to say? So yeah, rocks, my second favorite subject. Rocks rock. And yeah, and this technique is also going to be really fun for doing rocky scenes and mountain scenes and stuff like that. If you're just joining me and you haven't watched the beginning of this stream, I did share a sketchbook where I showed my previous technique for shading, which is mostly lines and cross hatching or just hatching. So that's kind of like when I say I'm working on this technique, that's what I'm referring to. The difference is this is way more soft. And it does take a totally different mindset for me to do this. I think if you started out in soft shading, you're probably watching this and you're cringing, so I'm sorry. Ooh, I like that little white edge of the moss. Something like I want to make it look like the moss is heavy on this stump. There are cabins. I know you'd have to book way ahead. The part at the bottom left where you have lines makes it look like elephant's leg. Yeah, I'm sure there's creatures in there. Will you? I'm seeing you mention that. Will you share your reference photos? Do you have a link? Reference for what? If for this one, it's literally just the photo below me, and it's kind of just loose inspiration. I'm definitely not really matching it closely, but you could take a little screenshot if you want. I think I just searched online for like old oak tree. There's so many cool twisty trees out there. I have quite a few twisty tree references of my own that I've already drawn multiple times. So sometimes when I just want to like branch out, God, I keep saying that and I don't mean it as a pun. It's like perfect though. When I want to expand my mind, I don't know, I just randomly search online for stuff. Just practice, you know. Don't do that if you're gonna sell your work though. That's not cool. Actually, there's a really good resource on Facebook groups called Free Reference Photos for Artists. It's a private group, but you join and they'll pretty much let you in if you're an artist. And they have tons of subjects that you can draw for free. And you can use it even if you sell your work. So, yeah. Do I though? Do I have patience? In some things in life, I have a lot of patience. With my cats, I have the ultimate patience, I think. With everything else, I falter. No, I mean it's a mindset thing. Like you can be patient sometimes and not patient other times. Your mood can swing back and forth really quick. Okay. For those of you watching who won't be sticking around to the end, I will post the results of this drawing on Instagram at some point, probably tomorrow or the next day. The light that I'm using, this light here is a it's a BENQ desk lamp. They only have a couple, so it's pretty obvious. Yeah. When you see the long, like swooping light thing on their website. And then over here on the other side, I have a dual pronged light, which I can't remember where I got it. I got it at like a fabric store. It's like, I don't know what you would search for. You search for dual pronged desk light. I don't know. Oh my gosh. So I'm probably going to stream for another like 20, 30 minutes. So if anyone else is drawing or painting, just to give you a heads up. I hope you've enjoyed having some company. And then we can all laugh at how ambitious I was in thinking I would finish 2 drawings today, and I've barely finished half of one. Yeah. This one is cool. This light's cool because it can increase brightness and change temperatures. So it can go really, really warm, which is gross, or really, really cold, which is gross. So I keep it in the middle. But yeah, the one on the left can't change. It can only go darker and brighter. The weighty drape. Awesome. Okay. So I'm on to something there. Yeah. This one is probably the better one. The Tombow Mono Zero round tip is an amazing little eraser for highlights. It is a little bit weak. Like if you pull it out too much, it bends really, really far. So I keep it like barely just out of the barrel, and then I can get nice little spots. I'm not sure how these would do if you're using really soft lead, like softer than 2B. If you're using maybe like 8B lead graphite, I don't know if it'll erase very well because you have so much graphite on the page that if you're using these small erasers to get rid of the graphite, there's like not enough. You have to like erase and then lift and then clean it off and then erase and then lift and then clean it off. Otherwise, you're just pushing graphite around a tiny little hole in your drawing, and that 8B graphite is just sitting. I don't know how to explain it. I just struggle with these with the darker graphite. 2B, HB, probably even 3 or 4B is fine. Yeah, so is this definitely a makeup sponge? It came in this cute little set of eggs. And I don't even know the name of it. I got it ages ago and it finally showed up. I was using this banana sponge, banana something. A million years ago, Artix sent me gouache to try. I think I actually did do a video about it. It wasn't good. But they included like random stuff in the package, like this banana sponge, which I cut in half, and some tape and some stuff. But this is the one thing I was like, oh, that's actually kind of awesome. And I love it as a blending sponge. I really like this tip, obviously. This one, I can get like a razor sharp edge. I might actually cut these in half too, because this is kind of big. I think I need like half of this and then it would be perfect. But yeah, if it's a makeup sponge, it is brilliant for drawing. So you could probably save money by looking up makeup sponges instead of drawing supplies, because it seems like artist stuff gets marked up so much compared to other things. In my reference. That's too light. I haven't really used a lot of really small lines yet. I was trying to get the bigger stuff in before I maybe switch to like a 0.7, because then, yeah, like it's like using, like in painting, when at least when I'm painting, I'm trying to use the biggest brush I can for as long as I can, and then I switch to the smaller brush, because otherwise you get so caught up in the details so early on and you kind of miss a lot of you lose the plot a little. if I'm using a bigger pencil with a big smudge stick and I can't quite get super detailed, it helps me progress through the drawing better. And then at the end, you can use all those little tiny details and make it perfect. But hey, Maria. It gets shiny and weird the softer the graphite is. Oh, Kataria, that's awesome. Go out into the forest. I love hearing that. I know not everyone has a lovely forest nearby. I have shared videos of my sessions in the forest where I kind of just see it as like a forest therapy session. I share the views, the trees, the sounds. I try to show all that inspiration while also drawing a little bit. So if you want, you can go back and look through some of my playlists, my plein air playlist especially. My tea is cold now, but it's like soothing my throat because it has that a little bit of honey, a little mint, ginger. The bottom is always much more honey-y. Honey. Oh, I'm glad you like it. So this is the graphite version of this one, which, God, every time I flip to this page, I want to talk about pens, but I'm gonna stay. Okay, let's do a separate stream with pen drawing. How's that? I don't know when, but like keep the pen talk for the pen stream. And then we'll do another stream about gear, maybe like plein air gear or something. I don't know. Because then we can just get it out of our system. It will just be like 2 hours of us geeking out about art supplies, basically. Blue pen. Yes. Well, actually, no. This looks blue, but it's technically slightly purple. It's this custom color I mixed up with my blue with a tiny drop of purple in. I called it Shadow. It's just Shadow. That's my bottle of Shadow. And when I paint with it, it's a really, really lovely, perfect shadow color. It's mostly blue, but it's got that tint of pink, purple, which I love. I have, oh gosh. Okay, seriously, don't get me started with ink and pens. We need to save that for a different. This is like, if I didn't know any better, I would say you are using the strategy of my old Twitch stream days, where whenever I was getting ready to stop a stream, my chat would be like, oh, but Sarah, I was going to ask you what your favorite pen is. And then I would literally keep streaming for half an hour just because I was geeking out about pens. Or they'd be like, oh, I saw that you were using this new color, whatever, quinacridone something. And I'd be like, oh my God, yes, that color's amazing. And then I would stream for another half an hour about, like, you guys are evil. I need to go. I'm hungry. Stop distracting me. It's a good strategy. It's probably too round. It's too donut-ish. You know, like, I need to kind of mess up one of the edges. Hey, look at this shiny thing. Yeah, we could, that would be fun. If we do a pen stream, I'll like go through my whole collection of pens and inks and share, and maybe try them on different papers, because I'm not a huge like pen ink expert at all. But I have just dabbled over the years. But I'm really quickly learning that paper makes such a difference. Like the way it absorbs the ink, the way the nib either scratches on the surface or glides on the surface, how quickly the ink flows out of it. I have had some horrible experiences with ink. And yeah, I'm still figuring it out, what I like to use. And so doing a stream about it would be great, because I know there are so many there's good pen people out there that would help me. People who know what they're doing. There's a lot of people in my Discord who are very knowledgeable. Yeah, I think that would be fun. I don't know. Maybe I like the idea of using the eraser to do some of the bark details as well. The like longer striations. Pen stream. Yes. How do you decide what to draw? Well, I'm currently doing a themed month over on my Patreon. Each month we do a different theme. So most of my personal studies are based on that. Sometimes I just draw whatever I feel like in the moment. I draw my cats a lot now, because like part of my goal this year was to start just easy 15-minute morning sketch habit if I can. And my cat's always next to me. So he is a good subject. Because I want to do it from life. And I was like, oh, I could draw my stapler, but that's boring when my cat's super cute. But then stuff like this where I'm using a reference photo, or I have a lot of reference photos I want to draw still. I have a whole queue. So it's easy to find something to spark my interest. With painting, I find that I have shared a video recently about this, like how to get over decision paralysis when you really want to be creative and paint but don't know what to paint. Like you'll start scrolling through photos and you just spend half an hour scrolling, when then you're like, oh, and I'm too tired to paint. So what I did in that video, which you can watch the whole thing, but basically I print out tons of little images, and they're all super blurry and awful quality, but that's okay because it's not the point. The point is just to like spark the imagination and like, ooh, that's cool. Okay, let's sit. And then I'll sit down and do a little study. So I think that's my best strategy. It instantly works for me because you can just pull these out of a hat, pick one, and that's the thing you have to paint. Because unless you're doing something for a commission or for, like, you know, you're doing something a little more conceptual, you're trying to say something specific with your art. If you're just doing it to get better, which is very important as well, you just need to do a lot of studies. you just got to get that brush mileage. There's no way around it. So in the moments where you're indecisive, having a little strategy like that is so helpful. I need to stop watching the news. Art streams are a good distraction, right? A good break from that. Break from reality. Feud nibs. Yes. I have a few of those. And then maybe at some point we could do a bullet journal stream. No, just kidding. I don't think I'll ever do one of those. But I am enjoying it. I have been sharing my bullet journal journey on my Patreon newsletters. And I didn't realize how many people are very interested in that. Okay, this branch is not defined at all. I'm kind of making it a little more curvy than it really is, but that's okay. I think it's one of my more recent videos. The video I was just mentioning, if you go back a few videos and look for, what did I call it? I think I called it fun ways to get yourself to paint more or something like that. Just one of those. And it was the spread where I did, I think this is the thumbnail, possibly. This big spread where there's multiple paintings. So, oops, look for that. And I think chat or comments also had a lot of suggestions for getting through paralysis. Fountain pen nibs, yeah. That's the thing. I am using fountain pen nibs. Pretty much all of mine are. So that's why I meant it. Paper makes such a difference. Do you like to do master studies? Yes, I do. I love master studies and I learn so much. I keep a separate sketchbook just for master studies. I think this one? Yeah. So here's some examples. What I do is I actually print out the master study and then I do my painting next to it. And usually you have to, when you're doing master studies, you kind of have to remember that a lot of times this master painting was 4 feet wide and you're using a tiny 5-inch by 5-inch sketchbook. So yeah, but it's still an amazing way to practice color theory, especially just learning. I think also brush strokes, like figuring out how they layered things. I don't know. They're just amazing teachers. Just, you're not actually taking a lesson from them, but you are taking a lesson from them. For me, I usually look at them more about teaching me about light, I guess. Color is a big one, but especially values and light. Like if I look at this, I can see, I can apply any color to that shadow I want. As long as I get the value difference between this and what's next to it correct, it'll still read well. But it's also really great to just purely practice the colors you see. But I also like to use weird color combinations, which a lot of masters did not use. So like they'll use a specific set of 3 colors. I use something totally different. I'm not going to be able to mix what they mix, but I can still use it as inspiration, and I can think about it. I can at least think about where they used warm green versus cool green or whatever, like the cools versus warms. That's a huge one with master studies. Yeah, it's someone, I don't know where I heard this, but it was a thing that I heard. Someone said doing a master study is the closest you'll ever get to speaking to that artist, which I love because it's so true. Like it feels like they're there with you in a way, like you're sitting next to them while they're painting, kind of figuring out their their approach, their strategy. Okay. I am getting pretty hungry. It's almost 8, so I think we will end soon. But yeah, if anyone has any last minute questions or yeah, I do master studies mostly in gouache. That's to me, it's the fastest medium for practicing color. Watercolor would be good too. Watercolor is pretty fast, but I wouldn't with like oils because I'm not. First of all, I don't use oils a lot anymore. I used to use it a lot, but gouache is just easy. Sit down, small compact setup. I can work quickly in gouache. I can layer quickly in gouache. So it just suits itself really nicely to it. An art supply addict. Yeah, a lot of us are. Drop a drop of flow in your pen. Interesting. I haven't heard of that, but kind of makes sense. Yeah, so as I said, I'll probably finish this tomorrow night, maybe. I do a lot of my sketching at night before bed. So, yeah, keep an eye out on my Instagram this week. I'll post some finished drawings just since I didn't finish anything today. But my last minute plugs are, don't forget about Acrylic Live if you're interested in getting better at acrylics or starting with acrylics. Acrylic Live is an event this March that lots of amazing acrylic artists are teaching demos, teaching throughout the weekend. I think it's 3 days. My demo is on the first day, which is Essentials Day. So that's pretty exciting. And there's a link. You can get a discount. And also, if you are interested in learning how to draw and paint in general, I have tons of tutorials on my Patreon. So that's probably the best way to start with me. So I'll put links for that as well. And yeah, I guess I'm going to wrap up probably in like 10 minutes. I did mention my travel brushes just a little, but I'm not going to get too much into it because I want to wait until I have like a good launch date. I'll probably do a live stream when those launch as well because I can demonstrate them and yeah, make it a thing. But that's going to be fun. I'm hoping it's this spring. I'm kind of thinking it will be this spring. Hello, Derwood, Little Fish, Erica. It's 4 days. Your day is extra. Okay, yes. The Essentials Day, I think, is good for anyone who's pretty new to acrylic. My demo is going to be acrylic gouache, but there are a couple other acrylic gouache people doing it that weekend. But I think Essentials Day is especially good for someone who's new to it. My demo covers plein air gouache or acrylic. So how I use it outside, I walk you through my full step-by-step thing, and I do actually painting trees, which is fun. So trees all around. But yeah, I am really hungry, so I'm going to end stream soon. Keep your eye out in the coming weeks for a pen stream. I don't know what I'll call it, but it'll be about, we'll probably just draw with ink. Maybe, actually, if we do it in February, we will draw rocks and such because that's my February theme on Patreon. And I love drawing rocks. So with ink, it would be really fun. Now I'm picturing like all these drawings I want to do. Yeah, exactly, Shannon. It would be perfect. Especially would be great if they launched before my Plen April event, myself, my masochistic thing where I go outside every day in April and paint outside. I mean, I'm not the only one who does it, but Plen April is the thing that I do every year. So yeah, that would be fun if I had it if they were out before then. But okay, this is what happens when I'm really hungry is I just can't keep one single thought straight. As if that's any different than any other time, right? Also, have you been enjoying this really creepy lighting? I just realized, wow, uplighting is extremely flattering. Okay, I'm just making sure I see everything in chat. Uh, oh, actually, I did see the Rebecca Green set. Jackson's did a newsletter, and I think they just mentioned it like this weekend. And I loved the colors they picked out. Gonna do your first plein air when the snow melts. Yay! Hey, Henry. Yes, I do want to do streams, at least until it gets really warm out and I'm outside a lot. Like, I always say that every winter, but I do really enjoy them. I just have to remind myself to schedule it because I don't want to just do it suddenly out of nowhere. I want to have it scheduled so people are ready to come join me. And I have to find what weekends work because I always want to do it on a weekend. So yeah, let's do it. Hey, Heiko! Oh, it's okay. I'm sorry. I should have posted it. I did post it in Discord, but I didn't post it when I went, like the second I went live. So I'm leaving. But hi. By the way, thank you from Wolfie. He's probably already thanked you, but thank you from him for his new game. He is absolutely obsessed, and I am too. I'm going to play it when he's done. It looks so good. Okay, I'm gonna go eat dinner now. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for all your support in every way you support me. And I hope you have fun drawing. Just get that pencil mileage in. Oh, this is a weird song to end on. We're gonna pause that. Okay, I am gonna end now. Thank you all, and I will see you again next time, whenever that may be. Okay, bye.